Hey guys, so this is your first asynchronous lesson, and you have chosen to use your graphing calculator, and so here's our graphing calculator, okay? What you're going to be doing and what you're going to be using your graphing calculator for is to go graph two functions, and there's actually two different things that you're going to be doing today. You are going to need to be able to take a couple of pictures, and so hopefully you have a camera or something that you'll be able to take a picture of this as well as a picture of your table. Now, the reason why I've zoomed really far in is because you don't really need the numbers that are down at the bottom. You are going to need a 2, but for the most part, the things that we're going to be looking at and focusing on are the things that are up here at the top, okay? I'm also going to be using my pencil to kind of point at things that you're going to be clicking on and pushing and that sort of thing, because sometimes my fingers are just too big and too fat, especially when they're zoomed in like this, okay? All right, so the first thing that you want to do is go into your y equals, and you want to type in 2 to the x power. Now, I've already done that, so let me show you what that looks like, okay? So again, you're just going to go in, you're going to make sure, by the way, that all of these are off. If for some reason one of them is highlighted, okay, and by that I mean that it looks like this, right? See how my plot 1 is kind of blackened in? All you have to do is scroll up to that thing that says plot 1 or whatever, and hit enter, and then it will unhighlight it. So you don't want those to be highlighted. That's for another day. And if you're lucky, I'll show you how those work, okay? But anyway, so we're in Y1, okay? And we want to do 2 to the x power. So you're going to type in a 2. You're going to use the to the button, which is underneath the clear. Okay, I think my big head is in the way. But we're going to hit 2. And then remember, you want to use this for your x. Don't worry about doing like alpha and all that kind of stuff. You just want to use this button right here to be your x button, okay? You can go ahead and hit enter if you want, hit graph, and then it'll graph it for you. Now, here's where what you're going to be doing today and what we're going to be talking about next time I see you is a little bit different. And that is because the graph, yeah, this is what it looks like, but it doesn't really do a whole lot for me, okay? It doesn't really show me what's happening with the numbers when I actually go and look at the graph and type things in. It's not really showing me much. So what I want to look at instead is called a table, right? A table of values. And so if you notice above the graph button, it says table and it's blue. Okay, so you definitely want to hit the blue button first. So we're going to do second. Notice how my cursor changed to that arrow. So it's going to do anything that's up there, right? Or anything that is blue. So I'm going to go ahead and hit the graph so that it does the table. And then look at this. It actually created a table of values for me. Now your graphing calculator does it in one quick step. In Desmos, you have to do a couple of things yourself and type it in and to kind of get it going. So this is a really cool thing that our calculator does. But you'll notice for, when we put in, say, a -1, 2 to the negative first power is 1/2, right? Anything to the 0 power is 1, so 2 to the first is 1. Anything to the first, right, 2 to the first power is 2. 2 squared is 4. 2 cubed is 8, right? Do you see that? And so now when I go look at my graph, I get kind of a better idea of what's happening. One of the things that you can do, so I'm going to go back into my table again. One of the things that you can do is you can change your window, and that's what I want you to actually do when you take this picture. But you can change your window to show you these x values. Now take a look at this. This is also something that's really cool. What if you wanted to go further than 3 and you wanted to go to like 4, 5, 15, right? If I start scrolling down, look what happens. It just keeps going, right? So it does do that for you, which is really kind of cool. If you want to do some zooming in and look at your graph a little bit closer, you can use some of these x numbers and these y numbers to help you come up with a window. Okay, so if I want to go from, say, -3, and I think I'm going to go from -3 to maybe +5. Okay, so in my window for x values, I'm going to do my x minimum at -3, my x maximum at +5. And if I go back into that table, what were those y values, right? So at +5, I can see that I'm all the way up there at 32. and at -3, I'm at this little decimal, right? And so I can use that to help me get my window. So maybe I want my y minimum, remember, was just that decimal. So let's just go from -1, okay? And then remember my 5, 2 to the 5th power, was like 32. So let's try going to maybe 40 and see if that gives us a better picture of what's happening. Yeah, so that's kind of interesting. It's just something to think about and something to look at. Now, let's say you've messed with your window, or you've even messed with the zoom button, right? And you want to go back to normal. You have two options. You can go into zoom and go down to number 6 where it says Z standard. You're going to zoom into a standard window. So I can scroll down and hit enter, or I can just hit the number 6. But when I do that, it takes me back. Look at my little hash marks. -10, +10, -10, +10. The other option is to go into window and actually change it manually. So your X-min would be at -10, +10. Y-min would be -10 and +10. Okay, so that's another option. So what you're going to do is you're going to do y equals 2 to the x, and then you're going to do 1/2 to the x. Now I caution you, make sure that you put 1/2 in parentheses before you do to the x power. Okay, but you're going to do the same thing. Go graph it, go make a table, and take some pictures. Okay, have fun.